All right, dude. What's cracking in the world of golf?
There's a lot going on. I feel like there's a lot going on that is kind of like a circus, like TGL, all this stuff going on.
Yeah. What have you been there yet?
No, so I like work with the team a little bit, the LA team, the LAGC team. Because obviously, Morikawa brought me in. He's like a good buddy of mine. He introduced me to the team, and I'm just like, I don't get it. So I just don't really help out. Because
You don't get it, meaning you don't understand what they're doing, or you don't
I don't
think
get
it's
the
gonna...
business side. Like, I get the game, right? But then growth-wise, I'm like, I don't understand what's going on.
Have you seen this thing?
No.
The stadium golf?
No.
You want to explain what...
Stadium?
Yeah, it's like a stadium golf where it's like you're hitting into a screen, and then like it's high technology where if you hit in a bunker on the screen, they have like this little simulated bunker.
Oh, I have seen this.
Yeah.
I have seen this.
I just don't get it because
It takes away from the experience, doesn't it?
takes away from the experience. But it's like you just play Tory Thursday through Sunday, and then the next day, Monday, you're going back into indoor to compete, and like there's nothing on the line. It's weird.
Is it meant for pros or for recreational players?
It's like real pro. Like Tiger's playing in it.
Oh.
Yeah, it was to rival Live originally. But the reason why I don't get it is because the LA team, there's like Giannis is an investor, Serena Williams, the CEO of Reddit, like Alexis, and then I know the project manager and like the head guy that runs operations, and I was like, dude, what do you guys need? And he's like, dude, we need money. I'm like, how do you guys need money? That's why I was like so confused. I'm like, you guys have all these investors and you need money? He's like, well, there's so much conflicting brands that we can't really sign. All right, man. I don't know. You guys do your thing. I have no idea what's going on.
Dang.
It's like, so you can't sign Adidas because Giannis is an investor and he's with Nike? How does that make any sense?
Huh.
It has nothing to do with the team, though, like publicly.
Right.
So after I heard all this, I was like, all right, dude. I'm done.
Do you know all the dynamics with like golf with Live and PGA and this? No.
How am I supposed to know that? I play once a year, if that.
Yeah, I guess that's a fair point. What's going on with Live?
I really feel like Trump's going to unite both.
Dang,
I
really?
really think so.
Yeah?
Is Trump's game that good, by the way?
Oh, that's
Trump's
a great
a
question.
baller.
Is he?
Wait, hang on. Hey,
Trump's a baller.
Trump can play.
I believe Trump can play. I don't know firsthand, but from everyone that I know that knows him, I actually just made some sleeves for him.
Did you?
Not personally, but one of his courses. And then my buddy who got me on all the Live teams this year, he's like close to the Trump family. So he's like, I've met online like Kai Trump like way back.
She rips.
She's freaking good.
Yeah, she rips. So from what I've seen, because he did Bryson's, what's the thing where Bryson tries to break 50?
Yeah.
He did this thing with Bryson, and his swing is crazy looking.
Yeah.
His putt stroke is nuts.
Nasty.
Right? But like, dude, it's like
He's a
center of the
gamer,
fairway,
though.
and he drops putts.
He's a gamer. Like he moves.
That's what I was going to say. His swing doesn't seem
Good?
very fluid.
It's just different. Yeah.
He's a baller, man. Like his comments too. He says like, "You think Biden would have made that?" I'm like, dude, that's the best.
So is there still like the hatred between PGA and Live?
I don't know. I think it eased up a lot,
Right.
but I'm not sure.
Like Rory's back down, and it's not such a...
Yeah, I think he's back down. I think I feel like I heard something like Greg Norman being not the CEO anymore.
Uh-huh.
So because that eased a lot of tension, I think.
Right.
I'm not sure though.
So you know what's fascinating I think about a lot is with skating, when I was skating, there was like we said, the real pros, and then you started seeing these like really good skate kids come up through YouTube.
Yeah.
And the skate industry never felt like they recognized the YouTube kids as like real pro skaters.
Right.
But the YouTube kids were like creating a huge following. And in a lot of cases, they had more demand to sell product than a lot of the traditional pros. And it kind of feels like something similar is happening with golf, where you have all of these YouTubers now who are sick golfers that are creating brands that in a lot of cases are bigger than a lot of just the pros on PGA.
Right.
Is that more acceptable in golf, do you think? Like, is a grant more accepted from pros than maybe, the example in the skate industry?
I think it's being more accepted the last 2 years Because now that I'm seeing like certain people go on the PGA Tour that you never would have seen 10 years ago, where you would have thought, oh, that's not gonna fly. I feel like you're just seeing it more and more, and it's because the companies get it.
Right.
You know, it's a numbers game at the end of the day. As you know, like it goes through up the food chain, and each food chain is a numbers thing that you have to report.
Right.
So I feel like the top that's reporting to the actual owner is like, hey, look at these numbers. And the owner is going to be like, well, I don't care who it is. Those are great numbers.
Right.
So I think that's what's happening is yeah.
So like the YouTube, like, cause you're in this world, right?
Yeah.
You create golf content. You've got a
Yes.
big following. You're doing brand deals because of it. Are there a lot of deals out there to be made for, and what would it be? Would it be a golf content creator?
Yeah.
Would it be a golf influencer? Would it be a golfer? What would be the technical category?
It's such a weird thing, right? Like I don't really like calling myself an influencer, to be honest, but I call myself a content creator.
Okay.
I like that more.
Okay.
Like, I'm signed to Samsung this year. They signed me. But I think how I entered that was, look, I'm not just a golfer. I do business. So a lot of the meetings I have are business owners. I'm going to be using my Samsung phone. That's like a value add. It's not like necessarily like a direct ROI, but I do get a lot of business owners are like, dude, why do you use a Samsung? Why don't you use an Apple? I'm like, well, I'm with Samsung, first of all, but I'm with them because I believe in it. I think it helps my business life. Like the new S25 Ultra, the AI, like it's like my assistant. It's crazy. I just type something in calendar, send the text, send the email on like one little ecosphere.
So like if you're looking to do a deal with somebody, are you reaching out? Are you trying to find who like the CMO or the decision maker is, introduce yourself, build the relationship, and then try to do a deal? Is that all you?
That's all me. Yeah, the Samsung thing was crazy how that worked. It was at a Hype Golf tournament. Samsung was the title sponsor. Then for me, I was like, how is Samsung a title sponsor for golf? I've never seen this in my life. I would go to one of the workers there. He was a 1099. Doesn't work for Samsung. I was like, hey, do you have a card? Like, I just want to reach out. I reached out via email, and they're like, hey, like we have a Team Galaxy. We don't pay, but we give free product. I was like, cool. Let me get a phone. I'll do content for you, show you how good I am or whatever. If you like it, maybe we could have a long-term thing. Sure, I did 2 pieces of content. I didn't know if they liked it or not. Like 3 months later, I get hit up. They're like, hey, like we want you to be Team Galaxy. I'm like, hey, like, I'm not going to do this unless I get paid, like for my time. Sure enough, there you go.
What do you think about that? Do you think it's a better strategy to negotiate a deal first and not put or have any deliverables till the deal's inked? Or do you think there's value in saying, let me show you what I could do, and then using that to structure a deal?
I think it depends on who you're trying to partner with, right? Like something like Samsung is so big, you're probably going to have a harder time trying to convince them to do a deal with you until they see what they're going to get out of it. Right. Whereas with a smaller company, you have a little bit more latitude, easier access to the CEO, and you could probably negotiate something a little bit faster. But he took a leap of faith. He could have burned through however many hours it took him to put those 2 pieces of content together and not gotten anything out of it. And I would probably venture to say you probably have done that and nothing panned out for you in the past.
For sure.
With other companies. And so a lot of times we think that we have to have something inked ahead of time and not be willing to do some of the legwork to actually get there.
Right. So showing value first, there's possibly good value in doing so. Yeah.
I think it's a Gary Vee thing that I learned because I listen to Gary Vee all the time, and he's like, show your value first. Right. And I feel like if you like a company that much, why wouldn't you show your value first? Because you don't have the upper hand. I don't have the upper hand to Samsung. No chance.
Yeah, but think about what he just gained from it, right? Now he has the ability to go to other companies and say that he's, on the Samsung Galaxy team. And that right there creates a level of leverage for him that puts him in the front door without having to. So his actual 2 pieces of content that he did thinking it was just for Samsung has actually arguably opened the door for him for subsequent other deals down the road.
For sure.
Dang, I actually hear a lot of people in different industries that took like Gary Vee advice and like apply it. And that's, I think, a pretty good one. I didn't even know who Gary Vee was when we did this, but GoPro started getting into skateboarding when I was skating. Mm-hmm. And my friend Mike Moe and I wanted to get sponsored by them. and they didn't want to sponsor us. So him and I took a similar approach. Like, dude, let's film a couple videos, and we filmed them, and they loved them. And then they were like, hey, can you do more of these? And we're like, well, let's talk about a deal. We ended up getting a deal with them. So we took a similar approach. It worked.
I love that.
Yeah, it was cool. So what does your week look like? How often are you golfing? How often are you creating content? I know you have a business as well. So what I really want to kind of know is how much of it is just fun, how much of it is work, and what goes into to basically making money as a content creator.
I feel like it's all work. I feel like going to play fun, like for fun, requires no content.
Right.
Unless like I'm a guest on like your guys when you go play Oliva
That was
Swings.
fun.
That was fun. Cause I'm not doing anything other than golfing and hanging out with the guys.
Yeah, Michael knows I have a gift of blending business and pleasure, huh? Yeah.
I mean, that's a great. I haven't figured it out yet.
Right.
You know, I think that's what it tells me is like, I get stressed. Like I just did this resort. It was a great resort, great
When you
weather.
went to Indian Wells?
Indian Wells, yeah, the Grand Hyatt, and I was stressed because I'm like thinking like, okay, I don't know if that shot came out good. Do I need to redo it? Like I'm not just swinging. So I think most of the time I feel like it's work mode for me.
So for somebody like Indian Wells,
Mm-hmm.
did they DM you? Did they reach out to you? Did you hit them up? How did you structure that deal?
So most of the time when I get up by a resort, it's through a agency. It's never through the actual resort. This time it was Candor PR agency. They reached out to me and said, "Hey, here are certain deliverables. These are the dates that we could, agree upon. If you're good to go, you'll get food credit. You'll get, a spa for your wife, things like that. You're just negotiating a little bit, and then."
And how often how many rounds did you get?
I just asked for one this time because I had to get back to work, but work from my other work. But just one night. But sometimes they'll do like 2-3 nights if you want.
And did you go by yourself or did you bring the boys?
I brought my wife.
Oh, okay, good.
Brought my wife. Yeah.
Okay, good. That's epic.
Yeah.
So you know what I was thinking? You played golf since you were a baby,
So
right?
9 years old, yeah.
Okay. And you have young kids, so you're probably going through this now with us. It feels like if you have a kid that's in sports today, that rules your life as a parent. It's like, especially if they're good, it feels like you have to put them in every
Right.
all-star or private club. It's expensive. You're
Right.
traveling every weekend. Is that what it was like when you were young playing golf? Or do you feel like today what you have to do to have a kid be competitive is just takes a lot more demand to do it?
I feel like today it's too cluttered. I feel like almost kids don't get to have their natural ability honed before having like 10 coaches. It's like I see like 12-year-olds having a strength and conditioning coach. He has a swing coach, a short game coach, a mental coach. It's like, dude, this kid needs to develop into his own before all this happens, in my opinion. I didn't start seeing stride for me till I was like 19. 19 is when I was like, okay, like I feel like I could do this.
All right.
I didn't know I didn't shoot my first under par round till I was 15. And I've been playing golf. Like I was not that good. And then I
Dang.
figured it out.
6 years and he shot under par.
Yeah.
Dang, I'm still trying. I'm like 10 years in.
Well, I guess.
I'm joking,
I
I'm
guess what I was trying to say. Yeah, I need to read the room better.
No, burn
No,
him.
Michael's
Mikey needs to be humbled sometimes. This is good.
we're still trying to get him to break 100. So
We got you.
Thanks, Jay.
We got you.
I've had a 70. I've touched into the 70s. My lowest round's a 76.
You got good flow.
I actually think I could be a decent golfer if I played more.
Well, yeah.
You got to play more.
No, because he keeps saying I have like a decent natural swing.
Okay.
But I just don't get out enough.
It's playing more, and then you get to a level, and then it's like, how do I
That's right.
manage myself?
Yeah.
Because now you're like, when you play good, you get excited. You want to go for everything. You're like, I'm good now. And then you start messing up. Then it kills your confidence. And it's this roller coaster of emotion. And then you're like, okay, I need to be able to relax. It's like when you go and play blackjack. It's like, dude, you just won like $10,000. Shouldn't you walk away? No, I'm gonna go more. You lose all of it. You lose all your confidence.
Yeah. That happened to me last time we were playing. It was in Ohio, and I took 5 swings, and they collectively went 10 yards, and I left. And I
In
called it a
Ohio?
day. Yeah,
that
we
it?
were all there together. I was like, I'm gone, guys. I'm going to the airport. I'm flying back home.
yeah, that's right.
I was just one for me that day.
Michael had a little bit of a
That
melt.
was a rough one.
Yeah. What do you think the normal, like, somebody picks up a golf club, is it going to take them 2 years to break 100, or is it usually quicker than that? And then what I've noticed is, like, I had big improvements and then I flatlined.
Yeah.
And I was like flatlined for years, and then I had a little bit of improvement. What is like the normal, like, average trend of a golfer?
You know, I think like for the average golfer, if you're like at least practicing or at least mirror work or something for at least 3 times a week, and you're on a right path and you're not chasing, you could break 100 in a year and a half, 2 years. If you're not, but you have to be on a good path. I think many people get married to a swing idea because it worked one time.
Uh-huh.
And I actually posted this the other day. The best golfer of all time, majors wise, I mean, I think Tiger's the best, but Jack Nicklaus, he has 18 majors, said, if I carry a swing thought for 6 months, that's a long time.
A swing thought?
A swing thought that worked.
Right.
If I carry it for 6 months, that's a very long time. This is the most major winner of all time saying this. So it's like, I went through this slump too because I won a big event and I had this swing thought. It worked for like 3 months. I'm like, no, this is it. And it just stopped working and I started panicking because that's why golf is so difficult. You have to keep refining yourself and checking up on yourself. Right. Always check. Your swing is like a baby. It's like, hey, you got your grip right. Hey, is your stance good? You slept wrong. Maybe your body's a little too 70% on the left side before you hit. You know, I'm getting surgical right now. It's not that crazy, but it is at the same time.
Right.
If it's a living of yours.
If you just started playing golf, is it important to take lessons right away? Or do you think somebody should just figure it out and then go get lessons?
I think it's important to get the grip correct and like your setup correct. Not necessarily the swing. I think the swing, everyone has their own swing. But the actual grip and like setup, solid setup, I think you need guidance in that.
Okay, so what do you think? I hear you on that.
Yeah.
For me, though, like, I wanted to take lessons first because I didn't want to create bad habits, even if they worked. I think mainly because, like, I didn't want to be the guy who, like, everybody's yelling at, like, oh, yeah, just swing your swing,
Right. Right.
I wanted a sick swing.
Right.
If you see somebody that plays good golf and their swing is crazy, like, any thoughts on that? Are you like, no, that dude rips? Or are you like, yeah, maybe you should do
I got to
this?
see a good pattern. If I see a good pattern, I'm like, do your thing.
Right.
I don't change.
You know what I'm talking about or no?
Well, yeah, but you just said Trump's swing looks terrible, but he's an incredible golfer.
If I had Trump's swing, even if I was good, it would kill me. I couldn't do it. Like, I want to do things the right way.
So you want to look good as opposed to perform.
I want both. This is probably coming from skateboarding, because skateboarding, it was so much about how you look doing it. Like, you had to do the trick, but you also had to look good doing it. And that's how I was programmed. So, like, I don't know. I just never wanted to be the person who's like, oh, yeah, he could pull it, but dude, that looks crazy. I wanted to be the guy's like, damn, that's a nice swing.
I can understand that. You know, a lot of golfers, believe it or not, even professionals, they get insecure. They're like, oh, my swing doesn't look good. Get me at a different angle. Like, a lot of pro golfers are like that.
Huh.
Believe it or not, yeah.
So do you think it's, like, valuable to do online lessons now as opposed to real life? Like, you could like watch YouTube golf or, like, you know, how-to golf and potentially try new things. Is that good, or are there problems that will come from that?
I think online lessons is good in only one way, in my opinion. And I've been blessed to see like Tiger's sports psychologist, right? I've been able to get this like mental experts talking to you through the game, right? I believe if you have that aspect and you can help the swing here and there online, then it's effective. But if you just have, depending on someone online, they don't really see your game. Even just seeing someone on the range, it's tough. Because I could see your range swing and I'm like, dude, you're piping it. And then you go to the course and you see OB left and you just freaking block it. Well, was that a swing issue or were you scared of the left? When I go on the course, I'm going to teach you, hey, aim this. This path will be okay. Don't worry, it's not going to go left. Create confidence that way, as opposed to you're swinging perfect. Okay, what happens when you don't swing perfect the first swing? You're going to bail, and then you're going to panic. That's why golf is difficult, right? Like get one ball, one shot.
And so you're saying a lot of it could just be mental. And if you're looking at something like a hazard, subconsciously, you might not let your body do what it's supposed to do, and then you have a problem. So it might not just be the swing.
100%. I could tell my swing aesthetically, I think it looks pretty good. But there's many bad shots that are produced from that. Even though my swing looks good. Like you could throw a fake tracer. I could do a fake, hey, that going straight went dead left. But my swing didn't look like, it went way left.
I've done a fake tracer before. Yeah, I had a cut and I wanted to draw. Just a quick little right to left. That fixed it.
I love it.
What's your Instagram handle?
SAMYI golf. It's all one word.
Oh, Mike's about to do freaking Sammy lessons. Are you teaching people also? Do you do lessons?
I teach some like junior golfers, so I really want to help, but I utilize teaching to barter a lot.
Oh.
So I used to teach like a lawyer to like look at my stuff.
Oh.
Cause like that lawyer costs a lot more than my lessons. So
All right, what do I have that's valuable?
Mikey, we just have a good time.
How can I work out a deal with you? We go golf. What do you need? Real estate advice?
I need real estate
investment?
advice. Absolutely. I think everyone should get real estate advice.
We can do that. We can make that work.
You know what I'm saying?
This sounds like a collab that makes sense.
When we redeveloped our office, I really wanted a simulator in here. Really bad. Michael's our COO, so he's the one that has to worry about getting things done. The operations is Michael.
Could you imagine if you had a simulator?
Oh man.
Yeah, we just hired
Scratch.
I would be Scratch. We just hired somebody on the sales side who was he was in Q school. So
Okay.
So Q school's one below. What's the next
Q
one
school
up?
is it's pretty much getting yourself to a Corn Ferry or a PGA. So
Okay.
if you're playing Q school, that means like you got game.
He has game, right? And I was like, Mikey, dude, we're gonna hire this guy. Yeah. He golfs. He's sick. And Michael looked at me and looked at him and went, "This is not a golf relationship, right?"
What's his name?
Scott.
Last name?
Patterson.
Sounds so familiar.
He's sick, man. I'll introduce you when we get out. But I haven't played golf with him yet. Look, golf. I've always said this, and
I put it on Scott. I said, Scott, if Mikey compels you to go play golf, just so you know, you're gonna be fired.
Yeah, but watch this.
So now Scott has to be the one to turn, because I can't control him. Yeah. That's part of my gift. I know what I can and cannot control. I cannot control my wife. I can't control Mikey, but I can control the employee.
Dang. So look, I know. Well, maybe I don't give you a me statement. Maybe I just ask you. What do you think the most valuable skill for a sport? Let me think of a better way to say this. If you had to be good at any sport that you think complements business the best, what sport is that?
Golf.
It's golf. 100%. Would you agree?
I would agree, and I take it further to say, like kids nowadays, parents are putting kids in soccer and basketball and football and all this. For me, for my boys, I want them to practice Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and play golf, and that's it.
Yeah, so Jiu-Jitsu is probably going to be more on like creating like a discipline in the person. I don't know if Jiu-Jitsu is good for business, right?
It is good for business,
Why?
too.
How so?
Because you roll on the mat, and then usually when you're done rolling, you end up sitting on the mat, and you end up hanging out. You stretch together, you hang out together, you end up going grabbing a beer together afterwards. You spend hours with these guys the same way you do at golf. Oh. So it's not as much as golf, but it does transcend beyond just the discipline of the martial art. So it would be secondary, whereas for golf, I think every kid needs to learn how to play golf in order to have a solid resume to get a job.
Oh yeah. I think we were talking about this, that a lot of recruiters are having good golfers put their handicap on their resume.
For sure.
But it's like if you're in a sales position, like I thought that was like when we hired Scott. When you're looking at somebody that's going to be on sales, you're looking at a personality, how they communicate, and like drive, right? But the golf thing, when he was like, "Oh yeah, dude, I'm a freaking scratch golfer," I was like, "Ooh, we got something powerful here." I thought that was a good value add.
I'll give you a perfect example. So last week, I was blessed to be invited to play Shadow Creek and Wind Resort by my buddy. He owns a advertisement company, like a $200 million company. He just said, "I'm going to invite my high roller friend who has a $200 million company in Canada, and a staffing company, right?" Great guy, Angelo. Shout out to Angelo. Such a good guy. I learned so much from him this trip. So I started a business podcast with my buddy. I'm the golf content creator side. He's the business owner, and we talk about golf and business.
What's the name of the podcast?
It's called Drive and Thrive Business on the Green.
Drive and Thrive.
Drive and
Business on the
Thrive.
green.
Yes,
Yo,
sir.
okay.
Drive and Thrive Business on the Green.
Do you do it on the green or do you do it in the studio?
So he has a office in Tarzana. It's like he actually owns a couple law firms too. So it's like a hybrided like law firm, advertisement, and podcast like floor. Would love to have you guys on.
I can't wait, bro. I'm saying we're gonna
Yeah,
schedule this when we get
gotta
off.
do this.
Do they have a simulator in the
They
office?
actually do. They actually do. Mikey's gonna go there. He's be like, but
Dang.
Yeah, you're not allowed to go.
you can virtually come. So we play Shadow Creek, right? I shoot 4 over the front 9, terrible. Right? I never play Shadow Creek, play terrible. And I shoot 4 under on the back, so it was great. But during the podcast, after the round, we do the podcast with Angelo. He says on the podcast, he says, Sam, I learned a lot about you today. And we didn't really talk. We just golfed. He said, I learned a lot about you. He said, you have resilience. You have guts. Like, you don't let bad situations bring you down. I was like, how do you know that? He said, well, you shot 4 over and then you shot 4 under. That tells me everything I need to know. And I was like, and he's like, we were like shit talking you a little bit too. And I was like, yeah, that's what I needed. I needed some shit talking. I told them, I was like, playing with you guys, no offense, but you're not going to beat me. So it's like, what am I playing for? But when someone starts talking shit to me or someone tries to compete with me, which is what? It's business. Like when I look at business, every little thing is competing. That's why I love it.
Right.
Like in golf, it's like a lot more depressing because 99% of the time you're not going to win. Actually, matter of fact, 99.9% of the time you're not going to win. Tiger had the highest win percentage ever, and it was 30%. That's Tiger Woods. So when I look at business, man, I'm like, and I mean it in like a friendly matter. Like I look at you guys, what you guys are doing, it inspires me.
Right.
I look at my guy Sam, it inspires me. I'm like, how do I get there in my field? What am I gonna do? So I think I'm the perfect case study when it comes to a failed pro that utilized all the relationships that I developed in 20 years, 25 years, and I put it into the golf world. So like all the buyers that I'm in the golf shops, they used to compete. All the merchandisers, the buyers, all the relationships I made, I just wasn't an asshole. That's the key. Don't be an asshole.
Yeah, you know what? That's so interesting that you say that because the first thing I noticed about you when we were playing, so we played Alivas together. We ripped through the front 9.
Yeah.
I think you were even through the front, right? And then on the turn, we went into the shop.
Yeah.
And I watched you go to the guy at the front desk and go, hey, who's your buyer?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, blah, blah, blah. He's like, oh, yeah, I'm Sammy, here's my handle. This is what I do. Can I get a contact with the buyer? I'd love to see if my product fits. Right. And the guy's like, I know who you are. Yeah, here's the information.
Yeah.
And then you walked out. You didn't even look at me and go, it was just part of your kind of routine.
Exactly.
I love that. I was telling him earlier, I'm like, Sammy is like the guy who's, I'm going to get this done and I'm going to build relationships. What feels like in some cases the old school way,
right,
because it's like person by person. But sometimes the digital realm leaves out a lot of what I think is a powerful business technique, which is getting in front of people. And I think the other idea is like people do business with people they like.
For sure.
Right? You're really good at that too. Like Michael's, he's Israeli, he's Jewish, his community, it's everybody knows each other.
Right.
It's like in person. The relationship build is very valuable, right?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, listen, but the reality is in 2025, you got to have both.
Yeah.
Right? You have to have a digital presence. You have to have the ability to build personal relationships. Right. One isn't going to work. The digital side, you can scale it. It gets very, very expensive. The personal side, you can't scale it as much, but the relationships that you're building are going to be a lot deeper. Right. Some of the people you may meet one-on-one can carry your entire business for years to come.
Yeah.
So I don't think, because there's a lot of people arguing it's one or the other. I actually think you have to have both. And so you have to have the ability to communicate directly when you're three-dimensional with somebody in person, but you also have to have the ability to deliver a message digitally, which is challenging in and of itself.
Yeah, we actually experience that a lot. Like for us, because so much of our business is bringing investors in, so you're raising capital, you have the old school way,
right,
which is lunches and dinners and networking events and in person, and then you have social media.
Right.
And for us, we've definitely been trending more towards digital, I'd say, than in person, just because your ability to get out to the masses it's easier.
Right.
But I mean, would you say that when you meet with somebody in person, the conversion rate is way higher?
Well, it's significantly higher, but the digital stuff has blown my mind because we've had some investors that have written us, 7-figure checks. They've never met us in person. And then I have some people that are looking to invest with us that are talking at the lower level, like let's say the $50,000. And they're like, well, I'll fly out. I want to meet you in person. I want to go see the property. And I love that personally because I do want to do that as well. So it's just interesting kind of what's been happening in our space.
Yeah. I love that you said I was a failed golfer and figured out how to implement that into business. Because I hear what you're saying. Like you'd view it as a failed golfer in the sense of, how far did you go? Did you go
So I went Q school for a tour called One Asia, and they were co-sanctioned with Europe. So I got to play like a couple European co-sanctioned, Japan, Korea, China, Australia, Thailand. So I played around the whole world. So yeah, I wouldn't say I'm a failed, but failed in my expectation of what I wanted.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you would have gone, you wanted to get on PGA? Was that the whole goal?
That was PGA Tour was my goal.
Okay,
That's what I
so
wanted.
How old were you when you kind of realized and made the decision that this isn't in your cards?
27.
You were 27?
I was 27. I said to myself, literally, this is what I did. I looked up every tour, a top 10 guy, and see how much money they made. And I said, I'm not even close to these guys, and that doesn't seem like a life I want to grind for. Because I'm not even close to these guys, like the top 10 on each tour. And I was like, well, the PGA Tour is not going to happen right now. That's going to take at least 2-3 years because of Korn Ferry and then leveling up. Japan, I was like, 10 is cool, but I'm not even close to that level right now. I'm in a slump. So that's why I was like, all right, well, I don't want to be 30 and not really like having, what am I going to do? And teaching wasn't an option in my head for some reason.
You didn't want to do
I was
it?
like, I don't want to teach. I feel like when you're a player, you don't want to teach. And then when you teach a like cool student, you're like, oh, that's cool. That was fun. But that's when I started my brand. I was like, no, I'm going to do a brand.
And so was that hard? Was that hard to accept that the dream was over?
I think it's still hard, low key. I think it's still kind of hard, but I enjoy business so much. And I realized, I'm about efficiency, and golf is the most inefficient thing ever. Because I'll practice for 10 hours, I shoot 75, and I'll be like, what did I just practice 10 hours for? Shot 75?
Bro, I feel you. I feel you on that.
You all right?
I'm putting in hours. And like, I'll shoot a 90 ball easy. Easy.
And it's like, what the heck was that practice for? Well, I didn't do anything. So,
Wait, but go back to this because you've experienced this too. I actually experienced it in my career as well. It's we go down this path, and a lot of people go down this path. They work a career, they have a goal, they have an objective, they put years into it, and then eventually they get to a point where they realize this actually isn't for me, and I'm not going to achieve what it is that I want to achieve. But in order to continue to live, I have to pivot and I have to go in a different direction. I don't know if I can do that. Or they, try to bulldoze their way through to try to get to where it is that they want to go, only to spend many more years. For you, when your career ended, you had to completely pivot. For you, you had reached a decision at 27 where a lot of people would say, nope, I'm going to grind. I'm going to keep going. Yeah. I'm going to try to work this out, only to realize that, 33, 34, well, shoot, I can't do this anymore. Now I'm forced to go in a different direction. And a lot of people aren't honest with themselves because they're so goal-oriented to achieve what it is that they want to get to. Right. And you have to have a certain level of maturity to be able to say, you know what, I gave it my best, not for me. I'm going to make this pivot while I still have a long roadway to be able to be successful in the next thing that I'm going to do.
For sure.
Well, I get that. I think that's why like hearing you make that decision on your own, I give you a lot of credit for that because for me, I didn't have to make the decision the same way. Like my career basically was ended for me. And so you can make the argument that I could have stuck around and tried to make it work, but I was like put into a position of like, it's over now, which I'm thankful for because if it was up to me, I'm not sure I would have left at the time I did. And I probably would have dragged it out to a point where it ended up being pretty detrimental to, a lot of different aspects of my life. Right. But then the other thing is like golf. There's some crossover. Like a lot of a lot of skaters are getting into golf.
Yeah.
Like there's such a similarity for the personality that gets good at skateboarding and gets good at golf. But golf, for whatever reason, it's more, it feels more accepted, and it seems like more people are into it than skateboarding. And so I just don't think there was a opportunity for me the way there was for you to stay in golf, start creating content, and kind of make your new career about you playing golf, but not necessarily being a pro.
Right.
That doesn't exist in skateboarding. If it did, I'm trying to think now if I would have
We
gone
talked
down
about
that
this
path.
a little bit when we were playing Leave Us Links. You were just like, I don't know, like the field you're in now. It's like, I don't know if I want to say I'm a skateboarder. Remember? Like you were telling me that?
Yeah. My wife actually talks to me about this one a lot. It's hard because when you're like, for our business, I mean, dude, we have, how many investors do we have? We're north of 600.
700.
700. We have a lot of investors, right?
Yeah.
And so I think for me, I just kept that in the back of my mind. What do people think of skaters? What is the perception of a skateboarder? And how do I pair that with my business and the fact that like have to go find investors that entrust their money with us and what we're building? And I don't know if it was an insecurity of mine in the beginning. Like, if I look, feel, and everything is skater, is anyone going to give me money for my company?
Right.
But I mean, we're in a different position now than when we started the company. Like, when we started the company, there were no investors, and we needed $3.5 million. Right? It's like now, this year, it's like $75 million and hundreds of investors. And I think it's finally put me in a point where, even though I think this is insecurity talking, I can more be myself now. And like what Michael was saying, like there were a couple of people he's speaking to, and they're like, I don't like Mikey. I don't trust him. Now I'm like, I don't care. I don't have that insecurity anymore. Like, you don't think I'm a good fit? All good.
Yeah.
Go find somebody who is. And the ones that do, we're doing our thing. But it took me time to get there. But I think what you just said, like there's an identity aspect of being a pro skateboarder. There's the dream of it. And when that ends, it's freaking hard. Like, we're all human.
Yeah, but it applies even to non-athletes. Like, I was in finance, right? And I started while I was in high school, continued when I was through college, and then just worked and continued to escalate up in the corporate ladder. And I hated it. But I made great money. The job was easy, and I had a path, right? And so I stuck with it. And it wasn't until after I got married that my wife said to me one day, "You're miserable. Like, you hate your job. Like, you should quit." And I looked at her, I was like, you're effing crazy. Because she, like Mikey's, a creative. And I was like, oh, you're just, that's the creative in you thinking like, oh, just be happy and the starving student, you'll be fine. And she kept like, drilling that into me until I was like, you know what? She's right. But now I'm 31, 32, I think at the time. What am I going to do? I have to start completely from scratch. And I realized I should not have resisted what I knew was real for so long. And it took her to help me realize that. And I had to take a leap of faith. And it was a lot harder, in your 30s to be able to do that. We had a kid on the way. Our first child was on its way. And it ended up working out really, really well. But I think pro athlete or non-pro athlete, a lot of people stay in a career or on a path when they know it's not the right thing to do because the fear of doing the next thing is so significant that they don't have the ability to see past that, and that eventually they're going to look back and realize, oh my gosh, that was the best decision I ever made.
So do you think if you have a job and you're making a lot of money and you hate it, should you quit?
This is actually the perfect question for me right now. So, because I'm with brand deals right now, but I have a business. And 2025 is a year for me. It's like, dude, I think you kind of have to choose like a path. Because I'm in that boat right now. I feel like that's part of the reason why I stopped playing golf. I was miserable. I was miserable because it was like, I moved out of the house when I was 15 to chase this dream, like of golf. I homeschooled after 15. And so I didn't go to college. I literally turned pro when I was 19. So I was like serious about it early. You know, I didn't go to college or none of that. This was me. It was all in. And I did it for so long. I was like, dude, I'm not a Jordan Spieth type of, obviously I'm not Jordan Spieth skill wise, but mentally these type of guys, they love the game. Like, I'll never forget, Paul Goido said this to me. I don't know if you know what that is. Paul Goido is like one of the most second places in PGA Tour of all time. He's high up on the all-time money list. He's on the senior tour now. They asked him, like in an interview, I never forget it. They said, so you're like a substitute teacher playing golf, huh? He's like, yeah, I substitute teach so I can play golf because like that's my identity. I'm a golfer. I'm not a substitute teacher. I'm doing anything I can do to golf. And that's when I was like, dude, that's not me. I'm not going to do anything I can do to golf. I'm going to do anything I can do to be successful, but not to golf. Like golf, I did it because I couldn't play basketball or football. I knew very early, oh yeah, you're not built for basketball and football. So I had some kind of talent. But that's why they say talent doesn't get you far. It doesn't. Like it's, you got. I hate saying this too because I'm someone that has grit, but you have to be realistic, like you said. I think I'm good enough to be a top 500 player in the world, but that ROI is not good enough for me. The ROI is not.
So what do you think somebody's working a job that's bringing in good money like you were that they are not enjoying? You think you quit, find something else? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Regardless of the age?
I don't know. That's a tough question because you also have to look at what's your family situation. Yeah. Is your wife working or not working? How old are your kids? What are your expenses? I mean, there are a lot of variables that come into the equation. So the younger you are, obviously the easier it will be for you to make the decision. I personally probably should have made the decision 5 to 8 years before I did. But I didn't because I was afraid of what would be on the other side, not knowing. The unknown, right? We got really comfortable in our salaries, and so many people are comfortable making a salary. They know that money's coming in, every 2 weeks, and they figured out a way to live a life based on that. Right. The other side of the equation is unknown. I have no idea what that looks like. And dude, I'm not gonna lie, it was a grind. I mean, we started this company, we were grinding for a long time. We were not making money, right? We had to make major sacrifices. We had to downsize for a little bit of time. My wife and I had to move in with her parents, for a few months just to figure this thing out. And I had saved money. You burn through a lot of money real fast when you have no income coming in. So you have to be willing to make the sacrifice with the faith and the belief of knowing on the other side of it, something better is coming that will actually fulfill you in a way the money just didn't, right? Like money gives you things that you want to have. Yeah. But when you can make money and be fulfilled by what it is that you're doing, you're gold.
So, like when you were in banking, you were making good money.
Yeah.
So let's say you're in banking, you're making $300K a year, and you hate it, and you want to do something completely different, but like the salary cap's 90. Do you do it? Is it all about enjoyment? Or is there a pairing of income potential and enjoyment? Yeah,
no, it has to be a pairing. Like the people that say just follow your passion and do whatever it takes to get at, that I think is taking it to the extreme, right? You got to make money at the end of the day. Like, you have to be able to earn a living. So you got to figure out, how can I do something where I will get fulfillment, not fulfill my passion, but fulfillment,
right,
and simultaneously be able to make the kind of money that it is that I want to make, right? Those two things have to pair together. If all you do is chase the money, probably not going to necessarily be doing something that you enjoy doing. And on the other side of the spectrum, if all you're doing is chasing what's passionate for you, you may not necessarily be picking something that's going to generate the kind of money that you need. He could have stayed a golfer where he was super passionate about. I don't know what, the 500 mark makes necessarily, but my guess is it's probably not making enough to hold a family together, right? So how do I do something that fulfills me with something that I care about and at the same time makes the kind of money that I make? And he's a great example of it. He did it. You know what I'm saying? So how do you pair those two things together? You can't pick one or the other. Not as far as I'm concerned.
So with everything you're doing now, what is the fulfilling aspect of it?
it's like piecing like a puzzle. Like with my brand, you know, right now we have a couple products, right? Predominantly the sun sleeves, but I'm going to Korea in April. You know, I have meetings set up to get new products. And once you look at a project, you're like, okay, well, how am I going to show this to the world? You know, how am I going to put the visuals together? You know, what colors do I want? Like all these things, right? And I think it's pretty enjoyable doing those things. I was laughing earlier because you said you got to, people that say follow your passion. Well, I'm passionate about money. So that's why I was laughing. No, but yeah, I think, I don't know. I just get inspired by how businesses are ran. And I love listening to entrepreneurs talk. I love hearing stories of people like, how did they make it? Like, I love that story, what you just said. To me, that's just like, damn, like, that's sick. You made it. You know, you're on this side now. And yeah, I'll never forget. I asked my mom and dad to have dinner with me when I was 27. I said, no, Mom and Dad, I need dinner. They're like, what happened? I'm like, no, it's fine. Just have dinner. Sat them and I thanked them for their support for all the years. I said, I'm done. And they weren't happy. They're like, what? And I was like, no, I got to choose a different route. And my dad was like, so what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to do Instagram. And my dad's like, are you crazy? No, you're going to come work at my company. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Because my dad sells rice cookers and house wrecking. I'm like, Dad, I don't know anything about rice cookers. I'm not doing that. I'm not throwing away my golf career from what I built, though. Like, I'm going to put that on Instagram. And he was just so angry. He's like, dude, I don't know what you're talking about. What is Instagram? He's like, this is a fraud. Like, he was like saying, this is fraud. I'm like, Dad, Instagram's not fraud. It's been around. He's like, I don't care. I never heard of it. And then when I first got my like club deal, I never got a club deal competing, but I got a club deal for doing content with a brand I'm not going to name because I'm with a different company now. But my dad was like, all right. Because I gave him a free clubs. And he was like, all right, this is real. This is real.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's what Michael felt like when I told him that we were going to start putting content on TikTok to raise money from investors.
It's true.
He thought we were nuts.
I thought he was freaking crazy.
I mean, TikTok is killing it though, right?
Dude, it was, for us, TikTok, like, dude, we've gotten, like, one of the investors he's talking about was the first investor that we got from TikTok, and they've got a lot of money with us now. So we've seen investors come from TikTok, but still, at this point, Instagram's the biggest one as far as the amount of investors that come in.
Is TikTok? I think so. Is TikTok going to stay though?
I think it's gone.
It's gone?
I think so.
At that like certain time,
In
right?
April. Yeah, I think it's a goner.
Damn.
Yeah.
It's good for me. I need to focus anyway, so I need to focus on.
You're doing too much?
I'm doing too much. I'm spreading myself thin.
What are you on, just as far as like being on all the platforms, or?
I just feel like just me in general. I'm like I have ADHD. Like I just try to do too much. But 2025, I've been pretty good.
Okay.
I've been pretty focused. Just hanging out with guys that have built big companies makes me realize how much I waste my time.
Well, are you spread thin because it's just you?
Yeah, but I do have some employees now, so
Okay.
that's helped so much, obviously, because like I was like packing sleeves like 3 a.m., for a while, and then now I'm like I got help. Oh man, it's so much better, obviously, because now I could call people and email people and not have to do fulfillment and things like that.
Okay, so in what areas are you spread too thin now?
I feel like when I take on brand deals and when I take on other things, it's not good or bad. It's just a fact. It takes away my time from my brand. No matter, even if it is good, even if it's giving me $20 million, it's taking away from my brand. So if I look at it from that standpoint, I feel like that's already one thing you believe in this. So you need to do this more. And I think a little bit of his fear. It's like, oh, why? Like this is guaranteed money. So I'm like,
With the business or the brand deals?
with the brand deals.
Okay.
The business, like, I don't want to say it's guaranteed money, but yeah, it residually comes in every month, right? Online sales, golf shops. But with product, it's just like tomorrow could be.
What do you like? What do you like better?
I like the online more. I like the online more because I'm talking to brokers for Walmart exporting goods in Rotterdam right now. And I'm learning the process of all this. And it's like, okay, well, you got to pay the broker. You got to pay the broker to continue the relationship. Then you got to cut your own costs because they're ordering for they're high PO. And then you don't get money for like 90 days. So it's like, okay, so that's a huge cash flow going out that you don't see for 90 days. It's not guaranteed that it's going to sell. So that's why I think online D2C is better.
That was what I always thought was the hardest part about like selling product is the terms. Like when we were doing that, we would have factors like, basically bridge us the capital until we were paid. But it was hard. It was so hard in that regard. I like direct to consumer as well.
Direct to consumer is awesome. You just got to make sure you have good customer service.
Yeah.
That's the main thing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because there's so many distraught people, like outlandish claims. It's so crazy, the things I read like every day.
Right. All right. I got a question for you. It's just a freaking golf question.
Yes.
That I want to know because I'm stuck in this halfway point. Okay. So George Gankas is my boy.
Okay.
Right. George has a little bit of a different swing pattern or swing concept than the traditional ones, right? So I'm watching Bryson DeChambeau, and he's got a video talking about, on your backswing, you pull your arms down first, and then you turn through.
Right.
Where George is like, you turn,
right,
and then you'll push through on the back end. Is there a right or wrong in that?
I have a good answer for that. It's going to sound like a political answer, but it's a good answer.
Meaning it's PC? You're going to be a PC
a
response? A
little bit of a PC, I guess.
Right. I
love
right
George
or wrong,
too.
bro.
George is cool too. I think the reason why Bryson's able to say that is because he's a professional and knows how his lower body works. I think with George, he's literally telling the average golfer that doesn't know how the lower body functions, teaching him how it functions. With Bryson, it's like, okay, yeah, you could say pull your arms down because you know how your lower body is supposed to work. I don't think I would say that to a person that just started golf. Right. That makes sense.
Well, I was thinking about, did you see that old school video of Tiger? And, they were talking about his new swing thing. And he went, my old swing was, ole!
Yeah.
Fall
that
back.
was like my coach.
Yeah, and then his new one is like, I pull it down, then turn.
Right.
For me, I feel like I'm stuck in the middle here.
Okay.
Like, I don't know. Like, I want to get shallow for sure.
Right.
But I don't know. Like, we've played golf before. It's like, my hips fire a little too fast, and then I'm stuck before, I'm just trying to figure out what I need to commit to something. What should I commit to?
I feel like
Michael's just going, this is...
I just remember when you told me to like open up my left hip as I swung through and how awkward
it's
that
awkward.
felt.
Yeah.
It
Michael's getting
feels
stuck.
so weird.
Yeah. The reason, that's right.
I still have trouble with it, with the left hip getting through.
So what do you do prior? Are you like pull down then turn?
I'm more of upper body. And they call it a term in biomechanics because I got tested. I forgot. I think it's like it's called upper core or something like that. So people have mid core and lower core. I'm an upper core. So meaning like
you do a lot with the arms and Okay.
Jason Day would be considered an upper core
type
of guy. Everyone's different. Like, see, that's why I think golf is so difficult because George isn't wrong, Bryson isn't wrong. It's like, but then George could be wrong to the wrong person.
Got it.
And he could be right to the right person. Like, that's why, like, when I teach, like, I don't have one formula. I'm very different. I'll look at the guy, your arms are kind of long. Your swing's probably going to be more like this. Or your arms are shorter. Your legs, your torso is longer. I don't know. You're really assessing the person.
I can't wait. I can't wait to play with you again.
We got it.
I know. We'll do we'll bring Mikey out.
For sure.
Yeah.
Have a lot of patience that day.
Yeah, I'll show you the short game. Yeah, he gave me a big tip. How's everybody finding you? Somebody wants to follow you, hear about you?
Yes, my Instagram, simple Instagram. If you have any questions, feel free to DM me.
Yeah, you know what I will say? I think before we met, I DM'd you because you did a video talking about like chipping and stopping it.
Yes.
And I was like, bro, what's good?
And then we had a lot of mutual friends too.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
All right, so your Instagram's just Sammy?
Sammy Golf, one word, yes. And then my brand page is Story Golf, STORYI, last name's in it. So.
Big dog, I appreciate you.
Yes.
I can't wait to play again.
Thank you so much for having me.
We'll have Mikey show you the big draw bombs. All right, big dog, appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much.